Hey everybody, Mr. West here. Alright, I've got a new bird that I put together. It may look familiar to some of you. This is ExperimentalAirlines concept called the Peace Drone, and it's a forward wing or canard aircraft, and the dimensions are, per ExperimentalAirlines, I'll call them EA. They're the same dimensions that EA has done in the past on his V2 unit, with the increased fuselage diameter or dimensions to like the 3" by 3" interior. Mine's just a little bit bigger than that, about 3 1/4, 3 3/8, something like that on the inside. But the length of the fuselage total is still the same, 45 inches in length. A 15-inch nose section there. You can see the brake, I think, maybe not. A 30-inch main tube. And then the wingspan is 60 inches, and then the front canard is also a single panel 30 inches. The difference I did here with the front canard, as you can see or may notice already, is that I installed the front canard in a through and through. I cut through the sidewalls and slipped it in, hot glued it in. So the front canard is fixed. And with that, I installed it with about 2 degrees, almost 3 degrees of nose up on the leading edge. So the leading edge is higher than the trailing edge to give a lift or an angle of attack different than the main wing. The main wing is flat on the fuselage as per EA's design. Let me walk around the side here. The other thing that I did different is I made the wingtips permanent, and I also made the wing one piece as a unit, permanent. It has a continuous spar in it, and I used 1/8 inch poplar by 5/8 tall. And also I'll post up a cross-section view that shows how it's constructed on the inside. That is the Dollar Tree foam board. It's a fantastic building material. I'm just amazed how easy it was to shape that, to bend tight, like that leading edge bend. I'm amazed. So great materials. Would highly recommend it to everyone who's going to scratch build something rather. Great material to start with. You can make true airfoils out of that. You can also do the KFM styles as well. So it's all good. Now the thing with true foils, like this one's called an Armin, A-R-I-M, I believe. M-I-N, sorry. A-R-M-I-N, Armin wing. I'm not really sure of its origin. I do know that it's fairly trainer in style, flat bottom, with a pretty decent amount of percent of thickness in the cord. So there's space available for spar, as opposed to KFM airfoils. There's no space for sparring unless you use carbon spar laid flat, so there's no buildup, in other words, and that works good too. So you're a little bit limited when you start stretching out your wings, like this 60-inch model and a KFM without any spar space, if you will. Anyway, so enough about that. The other thing I did different is that you notice how the motor is mounted here. Is I mounted the motor above the wing. EA put his right out the tube in the back, which is all good too. I wanted to get away from dragging the prop. I tend to buy the APC props, and they're about $5 a piece. I use $6 a piece, and they don't like to be drug in the dirt. And this is my runway too, so we're talking asphalt, and then this is all hard pack clay base out here, and it's not very forgiving on props or airplanes for that matter. So I mounted it above. I just took some lightweight 1/4 inch plywood that I picked up from Home Depot that I use regularly, It's an import piece, and it's in the handy panel pre-cut pieces. It's like a 2 foot by 4 foot piece, or actually might even be 2 foot by 3 foot, so 36 inch. So that material is a pretty good plywood, and it's got a lot of core to it, a lot of thickness to it. So it's not like a 7-ply or something like that that's real fine. It's more coarse, and but it ends up being pretty true. But what I like is it's exceptionally lightweight. So what I did is I put that plate on the back there. I'm pretty sure you can see that. Let me spin the bird around here. Okay, so I've got the plate, and I simply just hot glued it to the back end of the tube, and then those arrow shafts or cut-offs of about 2 inches long, I drilled through the plate, hot glued it on the inside. So those are my hold downs, those arrow shafts. Got my speed controller out on the side in the airstream going up to the motor. I reinforced the leading edge area where the rubber bands go with just another layer hot glued on and rolled. Pulling the paper off on the bottom side, it was necessary to get that curve. And then you can see my other arrow shaft piece, aluminum arrow shaft through the fuse. And then I've used his technique of capping the end. Paper is still on, hot glue it to the end, cut off the excess, peel off the tape on the outside so that you can actually sand it, round it over a little bit. It's great ideas. He's got some excellent ideas, and he has build videos. So that's ExperimentalAirlines on YouTube. He's got complete build tutorials, techniques of using foam board, and so on. So just a fantastic guy, and very, very helpful. Throw down something and he's in the comments, and he'll be very happy to help you. Great guy. And he's Irish too. So I made it wide enough on purpose to carry my two 3-cell batteries. These are 3600s in here with a 30C discharge, 30 to 40C discharge rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly with one battery on 11 volt, and then what I'll do, if I'm really liking this, and check flight time with that, get the prop. So let me back up a little bit, sorry. So I'm starting with a prop 12.8, I think this one is. Hold on. 12.6, my bad. So that's an APC 12.6 prop. I'm going to start with that. I did some ground testing. I'm getting some real good thrust out of this motor. And it's a 2822 motor at Hobby People. They're black label. I call it black label because they look they're black. And they're just really no frills motor, if you will. Pretty decent prices, but I get them on sale. So I bought all three of them. They're 22, 16 or 18, and then a 28, 24 or something like that, and then a 4120 is my favorite big motor. And so far I'm very, very pleased with them. They stay pretty cool, and they don't mind the big power, like 22 volts. So I use that big 4120, as you've probably seen in my other videos, running with 22 volts. In fact, those two batteries right there in a series gives me 22 volt, and I'll get 3600 out of those, and getting about 15 minutes in my other bird. But anyway, back to this. So there's a hatch cut in, and just visit his site. It shows complete details on how to bend, roll, and that's what that tube is. It's the foam board rolled into a square. And the beauty of this whole rolling idea is making it continuous, one piece, is that you get finished corners. Many of you have probably seen the foam board that are just square cut corners together, and honestly they just look like crap. They're awful looking. But that's kind of the way you do it. Well, here comes Dollar Tree board. 99 cents at the dollar store. and it's the typical 20 by 30 sheet. They're usually warped, meaning they're curved and long curved, and I thought that was going to be a bad thing, and it turns out it's not, because it all goes away. You peel off the paper on the back side and you bend it over and that curve disappears. So any imperfections as far as that goes, being warped looking, don't worry about it too much. Obviously minimize the amount of warpage would be smart, but don't worry about it. It works great. Buy extras too. Buy 3 or 4 extras to compensate if you have one that ends up being bad or whatever's got a kink in it that you didn't see. So we're going to do the maiden, and I'm going to do it right here on the road, and I'm hoping for good success. I put the CG where EA suggested, which is 15 inches from the back of the tube, measured from the back of the tube forward 15 inches, and then according to his instructions, the front wing approximately where it is, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch behind the front edge of the main tube, which is 30 inches. And then the difference here that I have is that I've got the main wing back further than his design. So I push the main wing back all the way to the back edge, butted up against that plate. So the plate is serving as a squaring plate as well. But the front of the wing is allowed to shift left and right, pivot. So if I catch a wing, the rubber bands are going to let it flex quite a bit. Hopefully it'll minimize damage. The tube is through and through, vented all the way front to back. I currently have ballast weight in place of the camera that I'm using right now, which is the Sony Bloggy. Just love this camera, high definition, and seems to work pretty well. I attached the receiver, and I'm using FM right now. I attached the receiver to the bottom of the wing, so my 2 servos, there's just 2 servos, are mixed to a delta mixing. So I've got elevator and aileron with this. Those are the 2 functions, of course throttle. So I have 2 servos, one in each wing panel, and if this thing ends up being a fast floater or a speedy, not a fast floater but a speedy rocket ship, then I'll end up cutting the rear control surfaces to make flaps, and then I'll add 2 more servos, put them on a Y, and then use my 3-position switch for medium and high flap. I shouldn't say high because the flaps go down, not up like an air brake. Although an air brake configuration might work better for this bird, I don't know yet. Alright, so I'll put it on, I've got this on the hat cam right now, so I'm going to put this on my head and see how she does. So a little bouncing around. Hopefully I'll have it all in view. Some of my other hat cam views are too low, and sorry about that. Powering up with 1 battery, the other is in there as future function. About a 1/2 inch of ground clearance there with that 12-inch prop. Certainly could have gone up a little bit higher, but I think she'll be okay. The further up you go, the more you're going to have to possibly deal with angle, thrust angle, and let's avoid that if I can, right? So I've got a wind that's just come up, a breeze that's coming out of the east, and I'm going to do a ground radio check real quick and see how I'm doing. I have the antenna strung out directly from the center, straight out FM antenna. So I've got it running straight out at the center, out to the wingtip, and I've got her taped right here on the end of the wingtip, vertical. So I've got some horizontal there, and I've got some angle back, and then I've also got vertical. A little bit compound on the antenna's position. I may need to increase the throws because this is max right now, and I'm seeing about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and those ailerons are 2 inches in width. Those control surfaces are 2 inches in width by continuous full length. I also used duct tape on the belly, a typical gray duct tape to help protect the bottom from the pebbles and all that business that's going to roll over. Okay, so, oh, radio check, yeah. So the antenna is collapsed. And now you can't see anything moving. I'm looking at the shadow. I'm seeing the... Not to mention, when I start getting out of range on the range check, you're going to see glitching. The throttle may move, come up, like that, right there. So I'm going to count back my paces. 1, 2, 3. 34 paces times 3. My stride is about a 3-foot stride, maybe actually a little bit more. So that's pretty decent. 3 times 3 is 90, so that's a good 90 plus. 3 times 4 is 12. That's 104 feet roughly. 104 feet with collapsed antenna. I think we're good to go. Alright, so here's the maiden. Am I nervous? Yes, I'm always nervous with maidens. Till you get to know the bird, it's really tough to know how she's going to act. Trimming left hard. Not sure why. Now I'm going to trim up because she's wanting to sink. Going up. Stay under the sun. Trimming up. Okay. Sorry, it took a while. Response is touchy. Pulling the throttle back. Right turn. Pulling the throttle back. With the positive incidence in the front canard, it's going to want to climb with speed. So EA was saying to use the throttle as your rate of climb control. That make sense? I'm going to pull the throttle back just a little bit more. Seems to want to wag. He also said make the tip rudders generous. And I made mine slightly smaller in area, same in height, but wanted to have a creative form, so I made them narrower at the top, more narrow at the top than they are at the bottom. Not sure that that was a negative or not, but so far I'm real pleased with stability. It's a little twitchy because my throws are a little high. So what I'm going to do is drop my rates on the aileron especially. Oh yeah, that helped. Not nearly as twitchy, but also not as much control. Don't get it in a dive. Okay, it's not responding real well with the dual rates off. So I'm back to full rate right now, which is about that 1/2 inch to 3/4. Yeah, wing rocking back and forth. So a gyro might be in order. So now I'm headed into the breeze and it stabilizes. Wing rocking is not occurring nearly as well, maybe. It might not like downwind. Alright, so I'm going to go to some altitude with power. And then I'm going to cut the power and see how she does. The nose is coming up, and then the nose comes down gentle. It's like the back end is really struggling to stay wingtips level, you know.